How's everything? How's Italy?
Wait, don't ask yet. Don't ask yet. It's going to be part of the show.
Okay, fine. I won't answer.
No, but I'm going to start off with the official intro and then we'll just jump right in. Welcome back to the Holy Hot Honey Hour, where we get into the sauce, the people who make food culture what it is. I'm your host, Matthew Zeiss, with my co-host, Garrett Klein, and today's special guest, you know her, the founder of A Story About Pizza, Erica. Welcome to the Hive.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on today.
I mean, it is quite awesome because we were both on yours separately, so it just feels right.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very happy to be here today.
So
Yeah, hopefully we're as good at interviewing as you are at interviewing. And
but
yeah,
Garrett,
you guys are
can
gonna be great. I like the Christmas decorations too.
with me.
Matt's all festive. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even Christmas. It's just I just like festive lights all the time. I like cozy lights. The wood is wall. The wall is wood.
Wow.
So, while I said it like that, lights have to go on cozy wood. It wasn't just like, oh, it's made of wood. Isn't that impressive? Most walls are, dude. But Garrett, you can jump off with what I stopped you from asking before.
Okay, yeah. So you just spent about a month in Italy, right?
Yeah.
How was that? How much pizza did you eat?
Too much, way too much. So it was so incredible. I mean, I was there for that long when I was a teenager because I lived there, but this was like a whole new experience because I was there to film podcasts and meet with people who own pizzerias. And it was just like a really, uplifting, like eye-opening, one of those experiences where you're like, wow, I didn't realize that this is how they did things in Italy because it's so different than like pizza in the US and pizza in Italy is like two different things right now.
Completely, right? I mean, is it all Neapolitan? Are there other things that you came across? I don't know what part of Italy you were in. You told me, but I forget.
Yeah, so I mean, I went from Rome to Sardinia to Milan to Parma to Cinque Terre, and then I went to Tuscany, and then I went to Abruzzo, and then I went back to Rome.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Favorite style? What's the favorite style you had amongst all those places then?
I mean, honestly, the pizza in Abruzzo was really good, and I really thought that that's what would be my preference because my family's pizzeria is Abruzzo style pizza.
I was gonna ask where your family is from.
Yeah, so that's where my family's from, and we still have family there. And so when we kind of got there, my dad was like, "Okay, we're gonna take you to this it was like this little side street, this little tucked away pizzeria." And I was like, "Okay, let's go in there." And I walked in there, and it was so similar to the pizza that they have at my parents' place. And then they had the pizza fritas, which is like the fried dough with the sugar, and then they have like a version with like the raisins. And I was like, I love this place. This is like my favorite place in all of Italy.
With raisins.
That's awesome. So since you got like an actual, not really like the quote unquote tour guides version of like the pizza, you got to see like some side streets, like you said, turn off on the side streets. So I'm sure you got to get really immersed because when people go to Italy, they have these like have to go spots, but I'm sure you got to check out. So was there, like Matt asked, was there a specific pizza that you had where you're like, I have to have this more than once before we leave? Was that it, or was there other ones?
Yeah, I mean, I think that happened a couple times. So the little side street place that we went to was like one of the ones where I was like, let's just hit this spot every single day for lunch, like as long as we're here, because we were in Abruzzo for 10 days, which was like a long
Okay.
time. And then there was another place so we have family in Abruzzo still. We have cousins and stuff like that. So they took us to one, and basically the name of the place is like it's connected with all these old movies, and all the different pizzas are connected with like different movie stars. Like there's like the Sophia Loren pizza, which is what my husband got when we went there. And so we went in there the first night, and it was crazy. I mean, the place was like packed. There was a line. It was insane. There was a guy who makes a Beltondo. He makes an Abruzzo Montepulciano di Abruzzo wine. He bought us a pitcher of beer, and it was like we were eating. We had like a full table of people, and then we actually ate the pizza, and it was amazing. And then we talked to the guy and the owner, and he was like, sort of like, oh, I don't know, but then was like, yeah, come in tomorrow and do a podcast. So I was like, oh, thank God. So we went in the next day, and it was like before they opened, and we filmed the podcast with him. And then he was like, can you come back later when it's busy and like film the pizza making? And so we went back later, and then he like sat
That's
us down,
cool.
like started feeding us. And I was like,
Nice.
because you're already full in Italy.
Yeah.
Right? You wake up full, I'm sure, right?
Yeah. So he was like, brought out a pizza and we were like, oh, how are we going to eat this? But it was so good. We just ate it. And then he brought us the dessert and I was like, oh, how are we going to have this? And we just ate that too.
That's awesome. What's the
That's
name of that
amazing.
place?
So let me look. I forget the name of it. We went to so many that I'm like,
Sure.
my names have been like, okay, this one, it was called, hang on, I gotta like pull up I have so
Sure.
many pictures and videos. It was like just content production for like a month straight.
I mean, that's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
So,
That's probably a year's worth of content for you right there.
listen, I have like hundreds of videos and hundreds of pictures, and it's very, I mean, it was a lot.
Did you find yourself like, do you speak Italian or do they speak English?
They did not speak English. I don't think any of the podcasts we did spoke English. I can speak Italian enough to like order my food and find the bathroom.
So how did that go?
I mean, it was cool because my husband speaks Italian. So we basically like sat down and I would do the question in English and then he would translate and the person would answer in Italian. But I said to him, like, the next year I need to like just somehow do nothing but learn Italian. So when I go
Yeah.
back, I can actually do
This
my
way you're
podcast
prepared.
in Italian.
But did your husband translate their answers in English out loud for the viewers or?
So he did like a little translation, but sort of the format that we're going to do with it is a little bit different. Like we have the interview part, but then we have like, the journey of the area, the pizza making part. So there's going to be like a narration part. So it's a bit
Okay.
more, it's going to be a bit more work on the production side, but I think it's going to be a cool format because we have the podcast and then we have like the B-roll and all the stuff with it.
That's really cool.
So
Yeah.
what you're saying is watch out for the montage. It's coming soon.
It's coming.
You know-
Yeah, we got 10 coming soon, but we kind of hit the ground running. And I think probably you guys, I don't know if you've been through this yet, but it's like after like each podcast, it's like, okay, like, do I want to change my format? Like I basically switched to a kitchen background because I was like, I went to Italy and I was like, I don't want the other background. I want a kitchen now.
Yeah.
So now I've just like switched it up and then I'm like, I'm going to talk to the people now. So like, I think as like the podcast evolves, there's like maybe transitions of like, okay, I want to do this now. I want to change it to this now.
I'm sure.
I mean, I think that's what's cool about it because it could be adaptable. You could, it could be anywhere. You can have any really background. Like sometimes I'm at the shop. Right now I'm at my house. So I have the floral background and stuff like that. But at the shop, I have, the shop background. But I think it's, you can be anywhere.
Yeah,
but
you
it's
gotta-
cool with the kitchen background. It looks good.
I've adapted
Thanks.
here. Like I hung a curtain in front of this shit bookshelf. I hung my great great grandparents' bed and breakfast over here, along with my other grandfather's fruit stand. Like pictures that seemed appropriate. You got to
Yeah.
keep adapting to whatever looks good. Because I watched the first ones back. I have a monitor now that I look at, that teleprompter, because when I did your podcast, when I did Tyrell's, and I think our first ones, I was looking off camera and I thought, wow, what an asshole. So I had to switch it up.
Okay.
It looked rude. It looked like I wasn't paying attention to anybody.
Oh God. Yeah, no, I've had ones where, I mean, I think like of anyone like just hypercritical of like, I don't like this in my background, or I don't like how
Yeah.
my hair looked this day, or I don't like this day, and then just changing things up each time.
Of course. I mean, that's how it goes, right? If you see yourself or hear yourself enough, I remember as a singer, you see yourself and hear yourself all the time. You get it back and you're like, wow. How many people do you know when they're like, oh, I don't like the sound of my own voice?
Ugh.
Me. I hate the sound.
Terrible.
I hate it.
Me too. I hate the sound of your voice too. No, I'm joking.
I sound like that? Jeez. I should not talk as much.
No, me too. I'll listen to mine and I'll be like, just stop talking.
It happens. It happens. You're like, man, do I pronounce that word like that? We had
Yeah.
somebody on the podcast, actually, who I won't say, but at one point they say frustrating. And I was like, boy, is that frustrating.
My favorite is when people say Pacific instead of specific.
Oh boy.
It's like, we're not in the Pacific Ocean. It's not Pacifically Ocean.
No.
It's specific. We're very specific about that.
So
Yeah.
with all this traveling, with your pizzeria, your book and stuff, would you say like pizza, I mean, it had to, right? Growing up with it, pizza shaped your life, clearly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite, because you have, I'm sure lots of people have the same, how many kids of pizza families and stuff.
I'll be right back. Sorry.
But you can, yeah, man. But you came.
The tide is taking me. 2 seconds. Sorry.
But the fact that you were born into this, yes?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was so funny because I was talking to my parents. My parents went with us on the trip because they love Italy. They've been to Italy 30 times. My dad's like getting a citizenship right now.
Nice.
So
That's awesome.
they were like, when they were married, so my grandfather opened the pizzeria in 1960. So when my parents got married, the first place they lived, like the building had all these different like apartments. And so the pizzeria was like down on the first floor and they lived in the apartment adjacent right next to the pizzeria. So essentially the whole time my mom was pregnant, they lived in the pizzeria. And then of course my mom had me and then we lived at the pizzeria
Wow.
until my parents, I think they had my sister like a year and a half later. And then they started to sort of grow out of the apartment and then they moved up the street. My grandfather like gave them a house up the street, but I was sort of laughing because it was like I was, in the womb in a pizzeria,
Literally.
Literally born and raised.
quite literally my entire life. They obviously still have it today, but yeah, pizza has been huge in my life. It's very, very funny to come full circle and see it. And then also be back in Italy with my dad and him, just nostalgic talking about my grandfather and us visiting our cousins and just, we went to the grave site, which is not something I normally do. My parents wanted to do it. So I was like, okay.
Sure.
But, just seeing all the old names of like the grandparents, the great grandparents, and the different, extended family who came over and some of them who stayed there and just visiting that and paying respects.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I
So
think the only thing that would make your story even more fun is if when you were delivered, they caught you with a pizza, like a cold pizza. Like,
Right.
in a pizza box, you just like,
yeah. I mean, can you imagine?
where did the pizza box even come from? Like we had it on standby.
We're going to tell people that was your story.
You
So
totally can. I even thought like, what if there's like an emergency, like, you're like literally having the baby and like had been born in the actual pizzeria.
Yeah. Get the fresh dough, quick.
Yeah,
the
right.
priest didn't bless you with holy water. He just blessed you with the sauce.
Little
Like,
marinara cross.
Exactly.
little
Exactly.
marinara cross on the head. So we got to talk to Vincent Sabaro, the grandson of the founder of Sabaro's, and I asked
Wow.
him because growing up in the pizzeria industry, you probably had the coolest pizza parties, the coolest birthday parties. Probably everyone was like, "We got to go to Erica's house to hang out with her and go to their pizzeria." So I'm sure was that a big part of like birthday parties and stuff, or were you like, "I don't want pizza for my parties"?
Oh no, I was like, bring on the pizza. I've been like, bring on the pizza my whole life, but yeah, we had most of our birthday parties at the pizzeria. That was like
That's
the
awesome.
place, it was like when it was closed Sunday, we had the Sunday Italian dinners. Anyone had a birthday, I mean, even now when I go home, like, the aunts and the uncles and the cousins and everyone that's still there, we'll get a table of like 20, 30 people and we'll all have pizza together. So this is just it's not just necessarily eating pizza, it's like the, tradition of us being Italian,
Uh,
having that meal and sitting down together. I mean, even in Italy, like we were saying, like it was my mom's 70th birthday and we had literally 70 meals because we had lunch
Wow.
and dinner every day together and we went somewhere for lunch and dinner. So she was like, at my birthday dinner, and I was like, we've had 70 birthday dinners.
Do your
that's
parents, when
awesome.
they were there, do your parents indulge in pizza like you and your husband did? Like, do they venture out and they want to try different places?
Yeah, but like my husband, I like to eat.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
I think my parents were like, trying to keep up with
Enough.
us because we were like, we're here for the food. Let's go
Yeah,
eat.
yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely,
I
for
read that
sure.
you says your grandfather grew up in the coal mines in Italy. Is that right? Like, not grew up in there. Like, I'm sure he was raised in a normal neighborhood, but, worked in the
Yeah,
coal mines, I guess.
You were born in a pizzeria. He was born in the coal mine.
right.
I think it's a Dolly Parton
Almost,
song.
right? Some kind of a country song.
Yeah.
So my grandfather was an immigrant from Abruzzo, and he came over to the United States, and I think he was like, 8, 9 years old or something, but he was
Uh-huh.
pulled out of school at 11 and went to work in the coal mines, and it was
Wow.
Berwyn White Coal Mines, Wimber, Pennsylvania. And my great-grandfather actually came over to America to work there because at that time, apparently there were like no jobs in Italy, and I don't know, there was just something happening where people were wanting to come to America.
Yeah. Where does the pizza history come from? Did your great grandfather, or do you know, like, did he teach your grandfather?
We had some very talented chefs in our family. Like my great grandmother, I would say maybe she was the one more so than my
Hmm.
great grandfather, but they all came over, worked in the coal mines. My grandfather had this dream, like he wanted to open this pizzeria, but like really they had no money and it was just, they were all immigrants. He didn't speak the language and he spent really the majority of his life just like busting his ass, like working in, Western PA, which is one of the coldest, which Gary, you're from the Northeast, freezing,
Yeah.
for, the
It gets even
elements.
colder in Pennsylvania too.
Oh, it's so cold, every year. And just saving his money and saving his money. And then all of a sudden he's like probably almost 40 years old and the coal mines close.
Mm.
He finally has enough money to buy this building, which I think he paid like $7,000 for back at that time.
Wow.
I think he mortgaged the building and he
Mm.
took his life savings and he probably had like, I don't know, $700 or something to put down on the building. And then they opened up a mercado, it was D'Arcangelo's market and it was an Italian market. And they imported all types of pastas and sauces. And then my grandmother and great grandmother started making bread and pizza fritas and stuff. And then it evolved into, hey, let's make pizza. And then they started to make pizza and sort of deliver it just locally to some of the factories. And then it just kind of evolved from there. And then the market closed, which I want the market reopened now.
Mm.
This is
Yeah.
my next project is trying to reopen,
Mm.
telling my dad to reopen the market. And and then it just became pizza and it went from just like, okay, plain pepperoni pizza to like, they have like 15 different or 16 different pizzas and they have like the round thin pie, which is the Mike's pie and the sandwiches and the soups and it evolved into really an Italian restaurant.
Is that currently it's currently an Italian restaurant? Like, does it serve as much restaurant food as it does pizza?
I would say it's primarily pizza because it's like,
Okay.
two different types of pizzas and like 15 different, kinds. But then they have like, we do a porchetta. We call it a porchetta in America, but porchetta sandwich, which is also from Abruzzo. We do the meatball and hot sausage sandwiches and we do salads and, we kind of have added, we do the wedding soup and that kind of stuff. So just
What's
from
that? I
family
don't know what that is.
recipes. It's like a little meatball soup. It's an Italian wedding soup and it has like these little meatballs and chicken, and it has little pastina, tiny little
Oh,
pastas. It's so good.
it sounds good. It sounds very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you now with the evolving pizza community, because it is clearly has evolved into something really, really something. Do your parents? Does your dad find himself trying to add like newer style experimental pizzas, or is it pretty much he does what he does?
He does what he does, but like he added some favorites. Like, so we do a tomato pie because we grow
Mm.
the San Marzano tomatoes. So that's a special one that's like a more seasonal pie. And then we do like a tomato pepper that it's just like a sauce with like spicy peppers and then it's dusted with Parmesan cheese. And he does a puttanesca pie and a diavola. Like, there's, just
Hmm.
certain ones that meat lovers pie, like he's sort of evolved it over the years. I think from going to Italy and like when you go to Italy, you see the menu and there's all these different kinds of pizzas.
Sure, sure. It's cool to hear that because clearly, having been open since 1960, there will be staples, unremovable staples. And
Yeah.
to think, again, the pizza culture world is huge. The most experimental pies ever. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen pickle pie come up. Has your dad ever been like, "Oh, let's try one of these pickle pies," or have you been like, "Hey, Dad, this is very marketable. Let's try it"?
He's very conservative and he's very traditional, so he sort of sticks with those
Yeah.
items.
Yes.
But I think the cool thing is pizza's an industry right now has been very like artisanal and people are experimenting with these different pizzas that you wouldn't necessarily think to make, but they look amazing. And I like that, I don't know, the US sort of has this pizza evolution that's not happening in most other places besides, I think Maui talked about, I think it was Japan or something where
Mm.
we're seeing a little bit of this pizza evolution there too.
I think it's some of it. I mean, like I'm here in Sweden, and it's here too. It's not as grand, and it's not as in America. It's spread so much. There's so much of it going on with Garrett and I. We talked about it with a few people. I've talked about it with a few people. It's just what the pandemic did to raise up pizza culture and create more experimental room. Here you'll see it. I don't know. I can think of 4 pizzerias offhand that I've seen pop up online. Otherwise, they are just pretty much standard. But I'm sure everybody else will follow soon. I'm in Japan, and I'm sure they're putting stuff on pizza. I mean, have you seen some of the McDonald's? They had like an Oreo burger or something like that. It was like, yeah, like they're just pushing boundaries over there. Like, let's just try it. Who cares? I mean, I would buy it to try it, but I can't imagine that being like, wow, it's the best burger I ever had.
Yeah, no, I can't either. I will tell you the number one conflict that we had in Italy is that my parents wanted to go to McDonald's in Italy, and I'm like a no McDonald's ever. Nobody should eat it. So we had a very interesting time with that.
I love your parents for wanting to do that. That makes me so happy. That your parents, they had you guys are there for a month. He's getting citizenship, and yet he's like, let's go to McDonald's. I mean, I love it. So I'm also kind of like that, where I'm the fat ass in me is like, I wonder what McDonald's tastes like here. And then like I go and get. I'm always like that. There was like McDonald's here is different actually. It tastes significantly better. Like it's fresh. It's not as processed because some of that stuff's illegal here, but I love that though. You're like, no. And they're like, oh, come on. It's 10 a.m. We can still get pancakes.
No, listen, it was a sales pitch. It was like, they get the meat locally and like, just give it a chance. And I was like, absolutely not. So it ended up, I got outvoted. So my husband, my parents were like, we're going to go. And I was just like, walking with my arms folded, like judging them. But, they went.
Did you try it? How was it?
I did. I tried to buy it. I tried it. The fries were good. But I was definitely like unhappy about the situation.
Here's a question and it's right in par. And I've asked this to a bunch of people. Do you, being a pizza culture, will you ever dabble with Pizza Hut or Domino's, or is that out of the question too?
I don't have anything against them per se. I don't eat their pizza.
Okay.
I feel like, the vibe of the podcast is like very like, I want artisans and I want family-owned pizzerias, and I want things like, with Holy Hot Honey, I want things that people are creating, and I really want to stay away from the corporate side of it. I want like Italy vibes. That's
sure.
So
you're telling me you don't think there's a Gary Domino's out there, and the Domino's family is like, it is family owned.
Maybe
they invented the domino too.
Yeah.
I just I want to. We're a small family-owned business, and I saw that struggle with my family my whole life and my dad, and it's like I want those guys.
Yeah, I do understand. I mean, it was half a joke, but it's also one of those questions that some people are like, no, like pizza's pizza. Like when we had Tyrell, he's like, I'll fuck with it all day, and because. And I'm the same. I went, there was a gas station. My wife and I were going someplace, and there was a gas station that said, Pizza Hut. And I know full well before I walk in that door, it's not Pizza Hut. It's like their version. And you know what? Was it good? Yeah. Was it great? No, but I would eat it again. It's you throw together sauce, dough, and cheese, and I'm in it. Have you seen online? I've never had it. I don't know anybody who has. Where there was like, I can't remember where it was. It was like a pizza cone, like they
I've seen it.
Yes, the pizza cones. Yeah.
I have. Either of you had one?
I've never had one. I feel like it's just like a large pizza pocket that's not closed on both ends, and it seems like you're just gonna bite into
a mess
pile of sauce and
scald
cheese
your mouth.
Hot pocket syndrome.
100%.
Yeah, burn the roof of your mouth.
100%. That's always. Yeah, hot pocket syndrome, totally. Where you're like, oh, that's good, and then one bite in, and you're just like tossing it side to side.
Exactly.
And it's not until like the last 3 that they're actually, suitable to eat. You just ate like a whole box and then burn your mouth through the whole thing, and you're like, oh, these are actually good now. Even though I can't taste anything because I have 3rd-degree burn in my mouth.
Then you have one of those skin strings hanging out the back of your throat. That's always fun, right? Yeah. And then you're doing this move for the next 30 minutes there.
Oh, yeah.
Someone's like, you okay? Be like, yeah, no, I just got something going. So a lot of people when they write their memoirs, they write, like history, like proper adult books. What about your story made you go, I want to do this in a children's book?
So, funny enough, so I published the first book, and I was like, it was rolling. Everything was going good. I was selling copies, and I was like, cool, this is good. But I was looking for like kind of like, okay, where do I go from here? And one of my best friends and I, like, we have coffee and we just sort of chat. And she was like, you know what? This would be really cool if you made this a children's book. And I was like, I had never even thought of that. And I literally drank, I think, like 2 or 3 matchas that day. And I was like firing off. So I just went home and was just like writing the children's books. And funny enough, it just sort of all came together. And then, the first one came out, and then second one, the third one just came out like a week ago. And it just sort of it took on like a life of its own. And I met a really talented and amazing illustrator who helped me. And that was really what helped pull it all together, because writing the story is one thing, but the illustration and like the way it looks is what brings everything to life.
Yeah. It's
Absolutely.
I mentioned to Garrett earlier how much when I spoke to you, I thought you had done the illustration, but that because that did rope me in. I love the friendly, inviting warmth of the character. It's colored warm. Now, did that person partner with you, or did you have to hire them?
So I brought her on, but then, she's so amazing because she's in Ukraine, which is a very, I wouldn't want to be ever in that situation. And
Sure.
some of the things she told me about just her safety and they don't have electricity for a lot of the day and they have a tax. And it was like, it really opened up my eyes. And so when we were at the end stages, I was like, hey, I'm going to give you an illustrator credit because I just feel like you deserve an illustrator credit. No one had ever given her one. Like, she's
That's
been
crazy.
illustrating books. And I was like, I'm officially just going to make you the illustrator. Like, you're just going to illustrate all 12 books and you're just going to have an illustrator credit. So we ended up doing it like that. And now, we're partners. We work on everything together. And she's just really a very, sweet, talented girl. Like, I sent her pictures of my family and she hand drew these illustrations based on the pictures. Like, she completely got the vibe of like what I was looking for.
They're lovely. I mean, they really are lovely illustrations from a graphic design standpoint, to in a day and age now where we're flooded with material, both organically analog and AI. It's hard to pop and get somebody's attention. So your book, anytime I see the page, I think you had posted, right, like a video of the illustrator that she was like her drawing, right?
Yeah.
And it's just wonderful. And the fact that you gave her illustrating credit is great. It's also blows my mind that people wouldn't.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I feel
Freelance
I thought
hire,
just like
ghost.
so you can actually have somebody draw your book, illustrate your book, and then not
And
put
say
them on
that you
as
drew it. Like, people do
serious?
that.
It's like a
Really?
ghost writer or a ghost illustrator.
Yeah.
The biggest claim of all of that is Bob Kane, who quote unquote invented Batman. He is the biggest source of that type of shit. He didn't draw anything. Yeah, he hired Bill Finger. Bill Finger created basically the whole allure, and then Bob Kane for his entire career would there's a documentary about it called Batman and Bill, and it's really, really, I'm a huge Batman guy, and it's very illuminating on Bob Kane's thievery, it's just this type of behavior where exactly what we're talking about here. He would have famous artists paint these beautiful Batman things, then he would sign his name to it, and people just thought it was him until he died. And he little tangent, but he let Bill Finger die penniless, alone in an apartment.
Wow.
And then not till years later was like, yeah, I kind of regret what happened. Like, now you regret it, you douchebag? Like, how do you live with yourself? I could never, I've done many projects where I've hired many different artists, and I accredit them always, even if it's because most of the time the art I do with other people is collaborative. I will do something to it, whether it's like then Photoshop it after, take it and color it, whatever. I would never take credit for myself. It's just so disrespectful.
I totally agree. I couldn't do it. I mean, I couldn't even do it if it was just any person, but specifically it's like this person lives in a country that's in the middle of a war. She's fearing for her life every single day. Like, I would love to just move her here and have her, become part of one of my companies. I'm like, just come on over, please.
It's a pretty sweet invite if she has the opportunity. Right? It's
yeah.
But how many books do you have total now with her?
So I have 3 children's books and I have 1 novel. And then second novel is like 80% done now.
That's great. So 3 children's books. I mean, I love the idea. I've written 2 myself. I haven't done anything with them though, but I did illustrate them myself. That's not lying.
Wow.
so, but I mean more so like if you ever see it out there and it says by me, don't be like this prick. he freaking hired somebody, didn't give him
Like he
credit.
really
I know
did
it.
it.
Yeah. He'd be like, he lied right to our faces, but it's okay because it's virtual.
And if I write a book and there's and I say that I illustrated, it's probably all stick figures.
Yeah. That would sell. That would sell. People like that. Simplicity.
Right.
So you lived, as you mentioned in the beginning of this too, you lived in Italy as a teenager, right?
Yeah.
How long?
Just a few months. It was just like over a
Okay.
summer. Yeah.
Do you
So
remember getting hit with culture shock?
no, it's so strange. So, we had a very crazy, like, we had 5 kids in my family and we had exchange students, and like our house was, my dad was a basketball coach, and like our house was insane. There were people, everyone had friends. It was like in and out, people constantly everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So we hosted some Italian exchange students, and we had a girl who came out to us for the summer, and then I went for the summer, and I think I was like maybe 15 years old. And my parents sent me over, and I don't even know, like, I was more interested in, like, probably drinking. Like, that was, like, my
Sure.
goal was, like, going out, and, like, I don't even at the time remember the food. So, it was like I went there, and, I traveled all around. I lived in Bergamo. I went all to a bunch of different places, and, I had my pictures and didn't think about the experience that much. But then when my daughter was, I think she was 10 or 11, my dad was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take our entire family to Italy for 2 weeks." And it was like, there's 5 kids in my family, my parents, whoever was married, they could bring a spouse, my daughter and I went. And that was when I was like, my eyes became like very open to Italy, like the food and seeing everything. And then seeing my 11-year-old daughter being there for the first time and her learning to order in Italian and just that experience. And then that's when I was like, what the hell was I thinking when I was 15? Like, I should have just stayed here. Like, why
Sure.
did I even, like, I was like literally just like clueless. You know what I mean? At that age.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you got both experiences because, like how many people get to say like, oh, I went to Italy and I got to live like, like I was like with people and be immersed in the culture, like I got to
Yeah.
go to England and I got to go with somebody who lived there and had friends there and stuff. So my experience was way different because I went to a party for a 15-year-old and it was a family friend of hers or whatever, and they were like 17-year-old, 16-year-olds, and they're all getting drunk, and it was just
How old were
normal because
you?
their parents were. I was 18,
Wow.
Okay, good,
and I
good,
was
good.
just. Well, yeah, it sounds, but no, like I wasn't able to drink, and like as soon as we took off, they were feeding us drinks because now we're in international air, an international. It was a completely different world. Like
Yeah.
we were able to go into a bodega and buy alcohol. We were able to go and just get served everywhere, but it was weird because there were like 15-year-old kids and they were walking around in front of their parents drinking, and their parents were like, "Here's another drink," and I was like, "This is so fucking weird." And it was a different culture, but that's what it is over there. Because at 18 you can start drinking, so at 16 you're not too far off. So here's a drink. It's like us being 19 and your dad being like, "Here's a beer, son."
It happened. I had my first beer when I was 4. Not on purpose though. No one gave it to me, but
Not yet.
my dad had it on the table and I chugged it. And you know what happened right after that? I
Oh,
chucked it up.
no.
What's the drinking age in Italy? Or, well, I should say, because maybe it has changed, but when you first went, was the drinking age allowing you to drink legally?
Yeah, I was 16, and I think
Yeah,
I was 15, or maybe I was 16, but I was able to drink when I was there. So yeah, I definitely took advantage of that because in
sure.
America, like I wasn't, I mean, I was probably drinking, but
Of
I
course.
wasn't allowed to.
Yeah, and you were so far off the age to drink, because like at 16 you still got 5 years, which is a long time to wait before you can legally get a drink.
But you
But
were
there
with
you're
your
like,
family, right? When you were
No.
16? Oh, they weren't.
no, because
Okay.
you. So when
Okay.
you went for the month, did you get to stay with the same family that sent their daughter over to hang out to stay with you guys?
Yeah, we stayed with the same family. They lived in
That's cool.
yeah, Old Town Bergamo, and it was beautiful. It was like the cobblestone streets, and then you could go into Milan if you wanted to go into Milan, and you went to Venice, and it was very nice. But again, I think that my priorities at that age, like I feel like I should have gone when I was like 11 or 12,
Mm.
or
Sure.
I like, had different priorities as a
But
teenager.
yeah, and was it way different to see how her family, like the freedoms and stuff that she was allotted, as opposed to maybe some of the freedoms that you and your siblings were used to?
Yeah, I mean, listen, my dad was a champion basketball coach, and really strict, and my parents were very conservative, and it was like every semester every single person had to play a sport. All 5 of us had to be in a sport, grades, and my dad was a teacher, so it was very like structured in our house, but also we had people everywhere all the time. So yeah, I went into this home with like, 3 girls, a mom and a dad, and it was super quiet, and they had a maid, a person who cleaned up. I mean, we didn't have that. Like we were like, heathens. Like we were like, there was like things were crazy in my house. So yeah, it
And
was
you're like,
definitely
Mom,
like,
Dad, we got to get it made right away, please.
oh yeah, I was like, this is kind of nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, just, the Italian lifestyle was different, but again, I didn't really appreciate it until that trip with my daughter. And then after that, we sort of got bit by the bug, and then we started going like a good amount until COVID hit. Like it was like anytime we could go, we're like, we're going to Italy. I mean, we took my daughter out of school. I think she was, I don't know, 13 or something. And we were like living in Western PA. We had gone home for a year. It was the year that I think I started like writing my book or helping my dad with the pizzeria. And it was like March, and I was like, it's snowing, like fuck this, like we're out of here. And I literally took, like, my parents went, my grandma who was 82, my husband, my daughter and I, we went to Italy for a month, and it was like, this is what we're doing now.
That's so great. But you have property you go to, or you rent a hotel or something?
So my dad is like a very talented trip planner for Italy. He knows exactly where the map, where to go, where to stay, where to eat. He has like, he's been there 30 times.
Sure.
So
But that's dads in general. Dads always know
yeah.
where you're going. They know the map. They have it in front of them the whole time.
Yeah, no, I'm like, where are we? Where are we going to
Yeah.
eat? Like, so he
He's like,
plans the whole.
McDonald's, close your eyes.
Yeah, no, I'm like, no, anywhere
It's
but
a pizza. Just close your eyes.
yeah. So he planned the trip, and my grandma was very Catholic, so she wanted to go to the Vatican, and at the time I think the Pope was either Polish or he was doing a Polish mass, and so she was super
Okay.
excited. We just, we took that trip, and then my husband and I went another time with my daughter. Then my daughter went without us. She went with my parents and my sister. So
That's
we
cool.
just, we started going like a ton.
So cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of drinking, I want to see if either one of you have tried this. You said drinking, it's pizza related. Where is the can there? The Pizza Hut wine?
No.
No. This came out, I think, 2 years ago. Tomato wine with natural flavors and vegetable juice for color. The natural flavors I've heard is garlic.
Really?
So it's tomato wine with garlic.
Okay.
I love how they say vegetable oil for flavor, for color.
This unique
color is the
pour
vegetable oil?
opens with
Green,
vibrant
yellow?
aromas of fresh herbs and spices, followed by rich notes of sun-ripened tomato and a subtle hint of toasted oak, reminiscent of a perfectly baked crust.
Huh.
Not a lot of people want that in their wine, but I could not have this. I had to order it the second I saw that it came out. I haven't had a drink in 8 years, and I had to have it. It's I was just curious if either one of you had tried it.
No.
You should put that in a pot of sauce and see how it comes out.
Literally.
Yeah, it was limited, so that would be maybe one day. You had to buy like 2 bottles for $30 each, and I again, but not pass. I couldn't pass that up. I just couldn't.
I wonder if it gets better with age, like a real bottle. Of
I doubt it. I doubt it. I'm sure. I mean, the reviews I heard on it where people are like,
you open it up,
this is
you drink
awful.
it, instant botulism.
It's like, is this V8? I think this is V8. So regarding your books, there are stories that most people have. We all have them growing at the dinner table. You hear stories of your grandparents, and these quote unquote immigrant stories. Were there any that you wound up discovering through the process of your book? Like, did you have to sit down with your parents and such?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely sat down with both my parents and my dad. When we would drive back and forth to the pizzeria, we would talk about different things, like when I first started doing the marketing for them. And one of the coolest ones I thought was like, my great-grandfather was very rough around the edges. And so he actually had his sons, which was my grandfather, and they had 3 other boys, build a house. And they would go literally to the woods, to the stone yard, and get the stones in the wheelbarrow and will the stones and then do the stone casing for the house. And the house is still owned by my family. It has the original stonework that they did by hand. And so they spent like years building this house. And at the time, the little town of Wimber had a little mafia. So my great-grandfather was out, getting the stones, and they were building the house with, my grandfather and his brothers. And the mafia pulled up and basically they asked my great-grandfather for money. And he was like, yeah, no problem. Let me go into the house. He goes into the house and he gets a gun. He comes back out and he's basically like, get the fuck off my property or I will kill you. And they left and they never came back. And so my dad, that was one of the stories he told me that I thought was like a very interesting, like, story
super
that sort of,
badass.
yeah, that you wouldn't think. But like that was sort of
I'm
how...
sure that'll be in the next children's book, right?
Oh, that's the topic for sure.
A little cute cartoon going, get the fuck off my lawn.
Yeah, Pietro meets the mafia.
Yeah. No, I mean that's if we're talking that generation, the mafia is the mob mafia. It's always going to be involved. If it's an Italian kind of story, it's you can't get away from it at that time, and just there.
Yeah, it was there in Italy when people were immigrating. I don't know if it's still there, but
I've studied the mafia a lot, and I'm not even joking. I find it fascinating because I find their demeanor and their behavior fascinating because to hold these types of grudges on an everyday basis as a grown adult comes across very weird to me. This, and watch me get whacked because of it. But you have this teenage high school demeanor. They're like, this motherfucker keeps insulting us. You hear this shit? But I remember I went to Las Vegas and I had dinner with two people that were friends of my mom's friend, and he was like a thug for the mafia back in the day, now living in Vegas. And I stayed with them for 4 days. They were at the dinner table talking about it all way too casually. Like the wife's like, wasn't that the guy that killed Tony? What's his name? You're like, what the fuck? Like how is this dinner talk? This is crazy.
Yeah, this is not dinner conversation.
No. Pass the salt. Who was that?
So side story, when we first opened up the pizzeria, we got a connection to our bread guy, and he happened to be Peter Gotti, who's the son of John Gotti. And he is the nicest guy. Obviously his like side of things and how things went down and how is completely different from what like people actually see it, and like how like his portrayal of it. And like when he hears people like talking about it, and ratting people out, he's like, that fucking rat. It's crazy. I never asked him any stories about it, but like, it's just nuts to be like, holy shit. Like we text like back and forth all the time, and like, it's nuts. Like this is John Gotti's son. And it's like, holy shit.
I don't
want
that stuff still exists.
I was always like, make sure we have the money for the bread ready to go. As soon as he's here, exact change. If the bread's a little short, it's fine. If the bread's a little bit smushed, it's fine. We'll figure it out. We'll make it work.
Just cut the mold off, guys. Cut it off. It's fine.
It's like we are not questioning anything that happens.
Because have you seen? I'm sure we've all seen like Sopranos at some point, right? And it's like this type of behavior. I talk about it with my wife, where it's like, if somebody doesn't understand what you're saying and they immediately take it as a threat or an insult because they don't understand you. And I feel like that's constant in that. I had a friend who he became, it's cool because they're not going to listen to this. He was, I had a little studio in New York when I was living there, like a little rehearsal studio for music, and he was getting a job for the union, like the movie screen union, to transport props and all this shit. And he gets a call from the guy he's waiting for, and he puts it on speaker, first of all. And that's like, why? And the guy's like, listen, Billy, okay, this isn't a job. It's a career, okay? You don't tell nobody about this, all right? You're going to be getting paid 3 times more than anybody else. You're going to sit in your ass 8 hours a day. You get paid double. And he's like, don't tell nobody. And I was like, I'm right here.
Too late.
Like he's like, I'll break their fucking knees. No, just like so. But yeah, and I feel like it's all over in New York. It's way more underground back again than it used to be. Gotti, speaking of Gotti, he ruined it. He was the guy that most of real mobsters will say that he was the downfall of the mafia for a long time, because he was so in your face, Teflon donning it, that he couldn't, he forgot that it was a secret society. He thought he was a celebrity. So back to you though.
No, I listen, I'll talk about the mafia all day. I'm really interested in it also.
Me too. Let's make a side podcast. There's so many documentaries about it now, and I watched them all because I've found that fascinating my whole life, though. Again, it's like the movies glamorized it, but when you go down to the nitty gritty of it, you're like, I mean, what a dangerous. How could you sleep at night? Every waking minute, you think you might get killed because of somebody's ego, some, money that this person thinks you owed. They think you said something that you didn't say. I mean, how many people have gotten killed by accident? Can you imagine pizza community alone, right? Every coal-fire pizzeria had their own, crematorium, so it's like.
Well, do you guys know the story about the sauce? I have to. It's Hold on, give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna look it up. It was a famous story with the mob, and the guy stole the sauce recipe, and they killed him over the recipe.
Totally believe it.
Wow. That's
Hold on
crazy.
a second.
I totally believe that shit. I mean, there's that other story on a lesser level, right? Coca-Cola, somebody from Coca-Cola offered to sell the secret recipe to Pepsi. Pepsi called the executives at Coca-Cola and the person was arrested. Like, so if you're talking about not corporate, you're talking about mob related, of course, tries to steal my fucking mom's sauce recipe, I'll fucking kill him. And nobody's supposed to know it's 3 cloves of garlic. Mixing, so to keep conversation going until he finds it, as a, marketing CEO, in addition to
There we go.
then, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll jump back
Sorry.
into that. No.
Sorry to cut you off. Murder trial to begin in death of iconic Brooklyn pizza joint owner. A Brooklyn murder mystery surrounds a stolen pizza sauce recipe.
From what pizzeria?
There's a Vice episode that you can watch.
Wow.
It is Brooklyn
Domino's.
Dyker Heights. Yeah. Iconic fatally shot outside his home, Brooklyn neighborhood, Dyker Heights, on Thursday.
Don't you love that?
Spumoni Gardens.
No
Spumoni
shit.
Spumoni Gardens. Really?
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Someone from. Oh,
so-
that's right.
So apparently, somebody that used to work at Spumoni Gardens opened up another spot on Staten Island and took the recipe, and then they bang bang. Don't do that.
I'm sure that's all related because one of the former owners of LB Spumoni was also murdered. So it was probably payback because, currently it's run by Antonetta, maybe, I think. And I think it was her brother, and he was the owner before her, and he was murdered. That all makes quite a bit of sense. I tried to get her on here, but, I think she's past the point of emails. So let's talk about your brother's murder. No, I would never do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy because LB Spumoni, we're talking big name right there.
That's a big name.
When murder's involved with your reputation and the fact that none of us heard about it except for you, the fact that, and I don't mean that as an insult to you more than the fact that that's not the first thing that's on everybody's mind with LB Spumoni. Any other company, you'd be like, that was the company that had killed some dude, right? You're like, no, don't talk about that. But so what I was going to say before is that as a CEO of marketing and also a storyteller, where, you had to find a fine line, I'm guessing, because of understanding what's pure to the story and what's marketable, or did you just keep it as true gets?
Yeah, I just kept it as true gets because at the time when I wrote it, I was like, fuck marketing. I didn't want to do marketing anymore. So I was like, I'm taking a break and I'm writing this book and I'm going to do, I'm going to help my dad because he's my dad. But generally I was like, my husband will tell you, I was like, don't talk to me about marketing at all. Like at that time in my life, I was just, I've been doing marketing my whole life and I was just like burnt out. So I just, I wrote the book. I let it sit for 4 months because honestly, I was like, I didn't write a book before. I didn't know what to do with it. And then I was like, oh, well, I guess I have been doing marketing for, 20 years. So probably makes sense for me to market my book. So then at that point, I sort of was like, okay. And then I was like, all right, I guess marketing can be good. And then, I sort of came back around to it a little bit more.
I like that. I
Well,
like that.
that actually-
You got true.
Because part of your story is how you helped with your dad's marketing and how you helped him grow the business. Can you take us through that whole? Because I'm sure your dad being a little bit more old school and not wanting to be in front of the camera maybe as much, or as hip to the whole social media impact. Was it a hard nudge to be like, Dad, we have to go this route?
Yeah. I mean, so, we lived in Tampa for a while, since my daughter was probably like 1 year old and my dad had heart surgery. I think my daughter was maybe 12 or 13. I don't remember, but it was something around that. But we decided to go home for the year. because he was recovering from surgery and I just felt like my parents needed help. And, we went to PA and when I got there, he was just really struggling. And so I thought, you know what, he needs to get out of the house. And so then I was like, hey, why don't we go to the pizza shop and like, you can just like do whatever you do, talk to customers, do whatever. I'll do your marketing. And he was like, I don't believe in marketing. And I was like, okay. But I was like, all right. I was like, okay, well, just get in the car, like whatever. Let's just go over and just see how it goes. I had to just sort of be like light about it. And then we got there and it was just sort of like being like at home again. You walk into a place and you feel your grandparents' presence and it's very like nostalgic to be there again. And then it was just, how do I tell this story? And I mean, I tried a lot of things because initially it was like, nostalgia, the story of my grandparents, but I realized pretty fast that nobody gave a fuck about that. They cared about pizza.
Yeah.
So I had to switch gears and started doing the cutting videos and, just the pizza stuff, the food. Cause I'm like, okay, you have to think like the customer. This person is hungry and they want food. They don't care that my grandfather came from Abruzzo, Italy yet, but yet. So that was kind of the initial, and it took a lot of video. It took a lot of work and months and months and months. And then one day I woke up and I had 1 million views on TikTok and I was like, okay. I was like, so I found something that is working. And then I just replicated that. But then after we started to get fans and people that.
Sorry.
That's okay.
The zoo came.
The zoo came?
Yeah. Kitty, get out of the way. Psychos. Freaking everybody's so hyperactive over nothing.
Mine was when we first started, she only will drink water from a hand in the sink. She won't drink from a bowl.
Okay.
So she was like wanting a drink and I was like, motioning my husband, like, get the dog. Anyway.
Now you have the dog locked up in a kennel, right?
No,
I'm kidding.
Yeah, she's 12. Now she's sleeping. So
Awesome.
now she won't move for 4 hours. Anyway, so yeah, we started doing the pizza stuff, but then it kind of helped to build an audience and loyal followers who then were kind of there for the story and then wanted to come in. And when they came in, my dad would tell them about the story and he would give them a free meatball appetizer and he'd give them a piece of focaccia bread. And, it really was cool because I watched him evolve. Yeah. He restored the building from 1905 and hung all the pictures of the family on the walls and started adding he added some appetizers and some things that our grandparents made that were very special. So to see that and then to be able to market it and also just to see the excitement of he would call me on the way home sometimes on days I didn't go and be like, this person saw it on TikTok and this person saw it on Instagram and this person was brand new and they've never been there before and they drove the whole way 3 hours away from wherever, Ohio. And I was like, great,
That's incredibly cool.
That's
it was really cool and it was really sweet. Cool. And even today, I need to post more for them. I try to post as much as I can, but I still have, thousands of comments on TikTok that I haven't even fully answered because there's just too much.
It's so great. And a minor, as you know, I love the marquee, the sign. My God.
Oh, the Pepsi.
And
it's been there since day
the arc
one.
Underneath it. I love it. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah. That was the finishing touch because the sign wasn't working. It hadn't been working for 15 or 20 years. And he had someone come in and put the lights on it. And now at night when they are open, the sign is lit up. And it just really, he put life back into it. And just to know that that business is doing well, maybe better than it's ever done. And to hear him be happy about it. Now he's like, he even said to me, he's like, well, put me on your reference list for marketing. And I was like, well, you're my dad. I don't know if I can, but
That's
he's like, I'll tell them what
happened.
That's super sweet though. He's like, I believe in marketing now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say how long into the process he was like, I was wrong. Marketing is the way to go.
Oh, it was less than a year because what happened was things started to pick up. And then every so often I was like, let me just roll the dice here. I'm going to run a little Facebook ad. You can target those ads locally.
Mm-hmm.
I'd spend $5 and he'd be calling me shut off the ad. We have too many orders. We can't handle it. So eventually he was like, do not run an ad. Like, I'm not allowed to run an ad for them. But yeah, every so often I would definitely, I'm like, let's just see what's gonna happen here.
He's like, "Is there an
Surprise! We
ad
put an
back
ad
up?"
out.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
doesn't
What
even
happened?
know. He's
Why
like,
is everybody calling for 2 pies?
Yeah.
"Yeah, we're so busy. What's going on?" I made him turn into Jerry Seinfeld. I
Take the
mean,
phone off the hook.
I love that.
I know we're running out of time and we can probably talk all day, but I have one question for you pertaining to the marketing side and everything for, pizza, for people that own a pizzeria that might be listening, myself included. What is some quick tips and pointers that you can give to help somebody improve their social media not status, I don't wanna say but, like, presence, I guess.
Sure. I mean, I'd say the first number one thing would be you need to think what the customer is thinking, not what you think. What does the customer want? Like, in a few words, like, what is the customer looking for? Just as simple as like pizza is like, I'm starving and I want good pizza. And then,
Gotcha.
you bring them in like your marketing, like your best marketing is your product, which is something you do all day long. So it's just putting that on film and taking pictures of that. And it sort of can be time consuming and annoying, but it's like just creating a ton of content because also, like, there are a lot of people out there, but as a society, we consume content like incredibly fast. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm like TikTok, like fire and I fire through. Like, my husband's like, "Are you
Yeah.
even looking at it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, that's just we consume content so quickly, so
Yeah.
don't ever think that like, "Oh, I'm gonna make this, no one's gonna see it." People just fire through content so quickly. So
Yeah.
those things, and then I think the other thing is that what you think you need to do, just multiply that times 10 because that's what you actually need to do. And that's where I've gone wrong a lot is like even with my family stuff is like I was at it for 6 months or a year before we went viral on TikTok. I mean, it was hundreds of like cutting a pizza, cut like a million times over. And so many people, they give up before they are able to really get something done, and only because they've underestimated the amount of effort that it takes.
That's good
100%.
advice
Yeah, because
because
I think a lot
today
of people
social media is key.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think because
Sorry,
yeah, a
go
lot
ahead.
of people no, yeah, I think a lot of people are under the, assumption that, I'm gonna go viral because I made a video and I'm just gonna post it, but it's like you said, it takes time. It takes
yeah.
hitting the algorithm at the right at the right moment, getting the eyes. You think is it the the views, like, over time that initially like, eventually lead up to it? Like, is it, like, almost like building a house where, like, you need to build the foundation, you need to build all the stuff, and then you put the roof on, whereas, like, you post all these videos and then you're more likely to go viral if you're posting more videos as opposed to that one-off where it's like, "I just posted this and it hit and went viral."
Consistency.
Yeah, it's I really just, like, compare it a lot to diet and exercise, like, you're not gonna just go on a diet and exercise one day and lose 50 pounds. Like, you need to look at how long it's gonna take for you if you need to lose 50 pounds, how many months, how many diets, and how many, like, times do you need to exercise? So it's almost like that. The other thing is like, you have your assets and you build those and people come to them, but what works for me on Instagram doesn't work for me on TikTok. I wish it did.
Yeah. I know nothing
I
about
didn't think that.
TikTok. I'm all about Instagram. I let my sister do the TikTok stuff because that's the thing. They're
Yeah.
super different entities. I am guilty of just taking one clip and posting it in various, one on the same
So
one on Facebook, goes on Instagram, goes on TikTok. I don't know any better, but of course they are different animals.
Yeah,
So can you
yeah.
give a layman like me, like, and somebody, what are some of the differences to hit on TikTok and to hit on Instagram?
I mean, Instagram is posting, but also the power of collaboration is just huge on there. That's the same thing. I mean, Facebook with people just, collaborating, having them reshare on their pages. Facebook has groups, which I don't know that any other place necessarily has groups the way that Facebook does. So if you can get connected into a group, like sometimes I will just reach out to the admins and be like, "Hey, will you post this for me or whatever?" Or, "Hey, can I
Hmm.
post this?" And they'll say yes. And that's a big thing is just asking them. 'Cause at first I was like, "Oh, I'll just fire this out," and, like, that's not really the way that you have to sort of like, "Hey, if I send you a free book, will you post this for me?" or whatever. So I'd say those things, and then TikTok is like a funny place. Like, it's just, like, almost simple, like cutting a pizza. Like,
Hmm.
a lot of, like even, like, I'd noticed, like, narration of, like, where to go and what to order. Like, if I had a pizzeria well, I guess I sort of do have a pizzeria, but I don't know that my dad will take the time to do this, but like it would almost be like a video of like, you making the pizza, taking somebody through the menu, but like each video is like one thing on the menu. But
Okay.
then, that may or may not work, but then it's like the ASMR stuff is very big on TikTok. It's like the sound, the reason why the pizza cutting videos went viral is because the sound of the cutting the pizza.
Yes, yeah,
Oh,
for
that's
sure.
like the
People went
parabolic mic thing?
crazy. Yeah, they went insane. It was like millions of comments.
Yeah. The crust
So
crunch.
in the pizzeria, just like the sounds of like, you could have somebody like, say you have like a nice crunchy pizza, you know how you take that bite and that crunchy sound? It's literally
Yeah, oh,
like
yeah.
that. And like,
And
have
it
you
just
guys
like
ever,
amplifies it, right?
yeah, and you can use a mic. Have you guys ever seen it's called the mukbang? It's that where somebody just eats a shit ton of food on TikTok.
No, but
And you listen to them chew. Okay, so that's a
Oh, okay,
huge.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've seen that with animals where they'll have like a guinea pig and they'll like bite into like a carrot,
that's
just listen
cute.
to the
That's
cat.
cute. I
It's
don't want to
so
listen to
cute.
somebody chew though. I don't want to.
Some people hate it, but some people love it. Like they'll do crumble
Wow.
cookies and like somebody just eating like a whole thing of crumble cookies and just dipping them in
That's
milk and stuff.
Sounds perverted a
that
little,
seems
doesn't
weird.
it?
It does. It sounds like almost like something you might see on like a one
Oh,
step away from being OnlyFans.
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
it is probably like that for food is what it
yeah.
seems like, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
those are
we're
big.
in a sensation time right now. Audible sensations are huge.
Yes.
Textural. I think the society in general has underestimated the level of autism that we all have, that we all possess. Because
I've been saying forever that if everybody looked at everybody like we were all on the spectrum and we were all
yeah,
a little bit schizophrenic, the world would probably love each other a little bit more.
we all have a level of it. There's no doubt. I mean, how many times,
Right?
I don't
Like
know about
we're
you
all
guys, but my wife and I, how many times you walk through a store and like you have to touch something that you didn't really need to touch, but your curiosities and satisfaction of touching something or the dissatisfaction of touching something. And then the audible, when people like cutting, I don't know, the slime videos and there's like
Oh
crunchy and
yeah.
the
Mhm.
gushing of it. This all sounds perverted, but the gushing, that was the wrong word to use.
Well, and the
But
pizza cutting, it's like the sound, the
I
crisp,
love it. There's a
yeah.
It's the
page.
sounds
What's
of
the
it,
guy's
yeah.
name? Pete's of Art, right? His page. He has
Oh yeah.
great audible crunch in his pizza. And there's another guy too, AJ. His pizza. The sound is fantastic. Did your Bluetooth headphones die?
Yeah, we lost the Bluetooth, but I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's fine. I heard myself, so I knew that meant your headphones died. But that being said, Garrett, if you have any other questions,
No, the only other one
because
is
we.
aside from Matt and I, who are your favorite guests to talk to on the podcast?
Oh, you guys.
Yeah.
One and two.
Definitely,
There.
definitely a diplomatic answer right there.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you now? You said you're gonna potentially. Your goal is to push your dad to open the market part back up. Would you run it or would he run it?
He would run it. I mean, I go back and forth. I'm in Tampa for a
Yeah.
lot of the year, especially when it's cold outside. Probably going to spend a
Snowbird.
little more time up there, but
Mhm.
also we're trying to spend a little more time in Italy now, especially my
Mhm.
dad's very close to his citizenship, but he's also 72. It gets tricky. My siblings and my sister and I especially are like, all right, come on, let's go. And he's like, I'm 72. And we're like, open the
Yeah.
market.
Well, what's going to
So,
happen is he go if and when he chooses to retire and move to Italy, perhaps who's going to take over the store?
I don't know that he'll ever move there full time or retire.
Okay.
He still works. Like he even still works in like the superintendent pool of stuff, even though he doesn't need to work. He's been retired
Yeah.
for since he's been 60. So, but he's not retired. He's been working the whole time. But we have family. We have 5 kids in my family. And then he runs some of it with my uncle. My
Okay.
uncle's a little bit more behind the scenes than my dad is, but we're kind of figuring, I think, all that out right now. I think our
Mhm.
goal is to keep it in the family.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean, I
great.
have cousins
Sure,
too that are great. So we've just got to figure out, I'm hoping my dad lives to 100. I don't know if
Naturally.
he has that plan, but that's my plan. So I guess
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, I
I hope
mean,
he does.
keep him away
I
from
hope he does. I
McDonald's.
hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Would you ever open up a Tampa location?
I think I would love to do an Italian market. That's been
Mhm.
like, something that it would be great. I think if the time were right it worked out. It's something my husband and I have talked about, and maybe do some light, like maybe we do like, my husband does lasagna and it's amazing. Maybe we do something, maybe we do like a very simple menu, but I wouldn't do much more than that. I'd maybe do like a plain of pepperoni and like do mostly it be a market. But it's tricky because we have the marketing companies, the podcast, the books, it's just trying to figure out what the priority is.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot. There's a lot. So if you don't want to spread yourself too thin and then, give yourself, you don't want to cut your head off,
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for, oh, sorry. I'll take that back. Don't thank you. I take it back.
Because you keep saying open the market. The market is attached to the pizzeria, and then I guess now it's just used as like storage or like a dining area, or is the market off site in a different area?
The market, they closed, like, there's areas within the building, like, they have a very big dining area. They have, like, a little coach's corner, which is like a bar, and so we're sort of deciding, like, okay, where do we wanna put it? And I don't think it would necessarily need to take up a ton of space, but especially because we go to Italy so much, like, we could do, I'm obsessed with the Cecco pasta, so we could do pastas, my mom owns a jam company, we could do jam.
Oh.
A bunch of stuff that we could stock the shelves with, obviously all my books, so
Naturally.
I wanna do it.
It would be awesome. I mean, I love that type of stuff too. If there's all family involved and there's all these different things like that. I mean, first off, who doesn't love jam, right? Have you ever had a dessert pizza with like a jam topping?
So we do, and it's not on the menu, but it's a jalapeno peach. So it's a jalapeno peach jam it's a pizza, and then we cut fresh jalapenos and fresh peaches, and it is so good.
I'm going to tell my wife about that right away. My wife would lose it for that. I mean, that's unbelievably delicious. She loves jalapeno. I'm not I can't handle it. I'm a little weakling when it comes to jalapeno, but I do love peach though. So
but with the peach,
marvelous.
it might mute the jalapeno. It might help mute the jalapeno a little bit, so you might be able to handle it because the peach is a very sweet, and being it on the pizza, that'll help negate some of the heat as well because the bread.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is there cheese? Any cheese at all?
Oh yeah, so we're sort of playing with the different cheeses, but like one of the ones that I love to put on there is like a ricotta. It's really super good, and it kind of like mixes those flavors together. But that's one that I love. I mean, my mom has
maybe like a smoked, some sort of smoked like mozzarella or like smoked Gouda or something.
Smoked Gouda.
Smoked Gouda would be good on that pizza. But yeah, she has like, I mean, probably 20 or 30 jam flavors. Like she picks the fruit and makes the jam, and it's just seasonal and it's super cute. But I would incorporate, I mean, if we had the market, that could be like a pop-up of like, okay, now we're going to do this pizza this month. This is it's peach season. It's whatever, cherry season. It's whatever the season is.
I love when businesses do it like that. That makes me so happy to have limited menus based on what's available. Like we had this conversation with Mark Bynum, but I'm trying to think other than Chopped, he's just this culinary chef. And he does this, he was saying the same thing, like, going to a restaurant when it was whatever was available that day, that's what the chef made, and you just have to trust the chef. So I love that type of stuff. I hope that's what you do. Like I really, really hope so, just so I can live vicariously and give myself a reason to come to Tampa or Pennsylvania, either one.
I think it kind of stinks because now, like, I remember when I was young, my dad would always be like, you can't have, cantaloupe. It's not in season, like whatever. And there was just, you couldn't find cantaloupe in the store because wasn't in season. But now all year round, whether it's good cantaloupe, bad cantaloupe, you find it on everything. So it takes away from that. People are like, oh, well, only in season. Because it used to be where in season meant that's the only time you had it. So you use it because
but you have to know.
Now it's like,
you just have to know when the right season is for that particular fruit. Like, okay, they're available now, but they're not the best they will be. They'll be good, blah.
But they used to never be available. That's the thing. It used to just be like you couldn't get it in the store because we weren't in season for it. But now because of GMOs and all these things that people like, everything is readily available. So it kind of it takes away from that seasonal aspect because everybody's like, well, I can get this all year round, so I'm going to make it all year round, whether it's the best of that version or the worst of that version.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's about when is it best is really when you have to claim the season for it.
People don't do that though. That's probably, you know what
Oh,
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they don't have to as much.
no,
Yeah.
it's true. When we were in Italy, it was funny because there was a little restaurant and the guy makes whatever he wants that day. And you show up and like, you don't know it's gonna be. And so my husband called and was like, "What's the menu?" And the guy was like, "If you need to know the menu, you shouldn't come in to eat."
That's
You know
amazing.
what?
That's the best
I
answer
love
ever.
that answer because I find that type of stuff exciting, like to try
Yeah.
new food. My wife and I, when we were just in Amsterdam and we go through the store and buy shit that we're not used to buying and like, all right, let's have a trial fest. And we went to some vegetarian restaurant that was just, you can tell like this chef was super trained and stuff that we wouldn't get anywhere else. It was a watermelon sashimi. And so instead of
Wow.
like fish, it was like thinly sliced watermelon, but I just love a menu where you don't know what to expect. You go in, you pick what's there. I think that's incredibly exciting. If you're allergic, whatever, you had a good run. No, I'm just kidding. No, man. Okay, well, I hope that market takes place when maybe when your book writing settles a little, and then you get the chance to maybe. Well, I guess we'll see, right? Which market pops first? If you do one in Tampa, or if you can convince your dad to open one up, even at 72.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're kind of have like maybe a plan to go there this summer and just sort of open it up ourselves and just be like, "Oh, the market's here." So we'll see.
Surprise!
Send him to Italy for a couple weeks, and when he comes back, just have everything set up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
happy birthday.
Send him to McDonald's gift card and let him on his way.
Yeah.
Well, Erica, thank you so much for talking to us. Again, as Garrett said, I could have just probably kept on talking, and you're like, get me the fuck off here. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's been so fun. I love talking to you guys.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So with that being said, that is a wrap for this episode of the Holy Hot Honey Hour. Big thanks to Erica D'Arcangelo, which I accidentally said D'Angelo in the beginning. I don't know if you heard that, but I'm going to overdub that like a old Asian movie, for bringing the flavor in the fire. If you liked what you heard, like us, follow us, share us with someone who knows their way around a good pie. I'm Matthew Zeiss with Garrett Klein, and until next time, stay hungry, stay humble, and never go too long without a slice. Thanks, Erica.
Of course. Thank you
Thank you,
guys.
Erica. We really
Talk to
appreciate
you
your
soon.
time. Enjoy the rest of
Awesome.
the day and
Talk
have a
soon.
happy Thanksgiving.